Hey, what's up, everybody? The Secret of Mana remake came out yesterday. I've been playing it ever since. It's got its ups, it's got its downs, it's got some fun stuff about it, it's got some not so fun stuff about it. So here is my review. Getting right into it. I mean, it's a remake of one of the best Super Nintendo games of all time. It's gonna be good. The game is incredible. I really like it. It's an amazing game, but is it as good as the original? That's a tough question. I know a lot of people have been saying how bad the voice acting is, and I gotta say, it is. It's not that bad. Like, it's bad in parts, but overall, it's fine. It's not like, it's not game like ruining voice acting because the main characters, if they're important, they have good voice acting. But some of the minor characters seem very like not into their voice acting. They're just like, oh, you pulled out the sword of mana. Like, it's not that bad, but it's comparable. Their lips don't move in this, which I thought was a little odd because I figured a remake and including voice acting, they would at least have some lip syncing. But yeah, their lips don't move at all. They kind of just like show expression and emotion through their faces to give like, a visual tone to what they're saying. And overall, I don't mind it at all. Like, it was a little weird at first, but for the most part, it's fine. The only thing that is weird, and you experience it right at the beginning of the game, is if a character was like making a certain face in the original on the Super Nintendo, they're still making that face with the 3D model. So it's a little weird. Like, this bully kid you encounter is like making this like baring his teeth, grimacing face always, and he's talking like that, and it's just like, this is really weird looking. But for the most part, there's only like two characters that look like that I can recall, and they don't have many scenes at all. Some of the like cutscene type scenes have these like action parts where, like, for example, your character will get hit and the person will just like walk into him, flash on the screen, and your character just like jumps back like he's getting hit in combat, like animation. It's a little awkward at times, but it's nothing too major. Like, a lot of people are complaining about that, but I have some other complaints that are much worse than that. Namely, there's a lot of, for what I'm calling like, lack of quality of life inclusions in this. It was a full remake. If you played the original, you kind of remember it. I mean, I haven't played the original in forever, so I don't remember what a lot of the items do, and I had to look it up because it doesn't say it. Like, you can't find it in any menus. Like, I had no idea what chocolate did. So the only way I could find it out was either to look it up or buy it and use it. And I mean, a lot of this stuff, at least early in the game, isn't cheap. Like, buying a barrel is like 900 GP. So you either have to look it up or buy it and test it to see what it does. I did not like that. Another thing I really didn't like is you can't adjust the screen size of the game, and I am living in the past. I don't have like a big 4K TV. I believe my TV is only like 720p. It's old. I need a new one. But either way, the game doesn't allow for screen size like customization, so part of the game is cut off. Like, I am missing about like 2 inches around all borders. So the whole like percentage meter for attacking, I get about half of that. I don't get all of the sides of my screen. And it's not awful, but it's very annoying. Like, I'm getting used to it, but it's still, I would prefer to have the entire screen available. And then another negative about it would be the weapons aren't as varied as I would like. Like, are a ton of weapons in this game, and it's famous for that, and like using the ring system, but they're not as varied as I would think. Like, you basically have two forms of weapons. You have up close weapons, and then you have ranged weapons. And for the most part, that's it. Like, your ranged weapons are like, you have your bow and like the whip work almost exactly the same way. Like, they look different, but they work the same. And then like the axe and the knuckles work the exact same. Like, axe can cut down bushes and plow through rocks and stuff, but the knuckles can't. But that's really the only like negatives I could find in the game, and that's honestly, some of it's like really nitpicking. I think it's a pretty well done remake. I mean, the gameplay is solid. It's not too changed from the original, and the changes they did do are more than welcome. Like, they added in these like hotkey things where you can assign commands or weapons or items to a certain button. I think that, to my knowledge, there's only two. You can use L1 and R1, and like you can assign cure to be like L1, and then you can assign some attack magic to be R1. That's what I did. And I mean, it works really well. I mean, you can even, if you want to change weapons on the fly without opening the ring system, you could set a different weapon to like L1, and then you just hit that, and you get the weapon out. It's just, that was a really welcome change. And then the leveling is very in-depth. There's way more in-depth than I remembered, because I completely forgot that each character has their own level of each weapon. And I mean, it doesn't do much. It like, for example, if you get your sword to level 2, which you can only get it to level 2 if you have 2 orbs and stuff like that. But if you get it to level 2, you can charge up your sword attack 2 tier levels, and then you do like a big attack, and it takes a while to charge, but it's more or less worth it every time. And those were, I completely forgot about that, and it was very awesome to rediscover that. The magic leveling is cool too. Like, the magic levels up the more you use it. That's basically it. Each character has their own experience levels, obviously. And I mean, it was just really, the leveling is one of my favorite parts about the game, because it is very in-depth. It's very, almost like, it has like multiple paths you can take. Like, the world is your oyster for leveling up. And then, I mean, all the weapons are amazing. I love every one of them. They're all really fun to use, and because of the weapon leveling for each character, you kind of have to, I mean, you don't have to, but it's kind of encouraged to switch and use each weapon individually. Also, they have their own like overworld stuff they can do. Like the whip, if you see 2 posts, you can whip to 1 post and then bring your team across a gap. The axe can chop through boulders. Sword, any blade can chop through bushes. It's just a bunch of cool stuff like that. And one thing I can't praise enough is the music. The music in this game is just beautiful. I think it's really well done for the remake. I love the original 16-bit music. It was it's actually a lot more impressive when it was just 16 bits, just, you know, for the lack of technology and how much the composer did with it. But the music translated very well to the remake. I thought it all flowed just the same and was just as entrancing and majestic as the previous soundtrack. And then lastly, the story. Good God, the story. I mean, you start out and honestly, this game has kind of a basic JRPG story, but it's done in a very non-basic way. I don't know really how else to put it, but I mean, it starts out and you're just this kid, you stumble upon a sword, and then you're just like, oh, well, you're the chosen one. And I mean, go figure, because this game has like one of the worst who's the protagonist syndromes ever, because everyone else in the village is wearing like a t-shirt and shorts, and then you're sitting here, you got this spiky hair, you're wearing this in-depth scarf and pants and everything, you're an orphan that was found in the village. It's blatantly obvious you're the chosen one. And each character is like that. They're like clothing is way more in depth than everyone else's around them, and it's just like, I'm definitely getting that character. Granted, there's only 3 of them, so it doesn't last that long, but it's still, I thought it was kind of funny enough to mention at least. But I mean, you start out, you're the chosen one, you end up recruiting this sprite and a princess, and they all can, you know, kick ass in their own ways. And then you get magic. You don't get magic because you wield the mana sword, so you can't use magic because it could make the entire world explode or something or another. And you basically have to stop evil from, destroying the world. It's just this great story of a ragtag bunch of kids that gets into like a situation way beyond what they expected to. And they come out on top, and you're the underdogs like the whole game. I mean, at the beginning of the game, it's almost too easy because it's very repetitive. Like, the gameplay is repetitive, but it's fun. The combat, like, you run up, you do 100% attack, and then, I mean, you can keep just, like, spamming attack, but it's not going to do anything really at 1-2%. You gotta attack, run away, and then attack again when it's at 100%. It does get a little repetitive at the beginning, but later on in the game, there's more enemies, they do more, so you actually have to dodge attacks. And there is a very sharp difficulty spike later in the game. Like, you start out, you're basically just overpowered all over the place. Like, I mean, it takes a while to kill them, but you can do it easily without getting hit. And then, like, some of the bosses may be challenging. I died like on some of the early bosses like 2-3 times maybe, but overall the bosses are fun and challenging, but not like too challenging. And then, like, when you get to it, you get to this one part and then bam, everything is just like taking forever to die. You will die in like 3 hits. It's crazy, and you basically just have to adjust to it and just get, for lack of a better term, get good and just go at it. But the bosses, although difficult, were also pretty varied because they range from a spiky tiger to this tropicalo thing. It's got buck teeth. It's basically a coconut with tentacles and stuff. I mean, they're not that difficult at first. They get more difficult the more magic you get, but you can also exploit their weaknesses if you know it. It's very balanced and fun. Overall, with its pluses and its minuses, I give Secret of Mana an 8 out of 10. It's a great remake, I think. A lot of people don't think so. I mean, if you don't, you might want to stick to the original, but if you do want to replay it and you don't mind the like redone 3D models, like the graphics, definitely get it. If you haven't played this game ever, I highly recommend it. It's only like $40. Definitely get it. It will not be a waste of your time. Hey, thanks for watching. Did you like the video? Why don't you hit that like and subscribe button? It really helps us grow the channel. And don't forget to ring that bell to join our notification squad. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I put the links in the description just to make it easier for you to get to. And we will catch you next time for the next video from the Bro Trio.